November 8th, 1962. Brooklyn, New York. The back room of a social club on Carroll Street smelled of espresso, cigars, and old money. Vito Genovese sat at the head of a long oak table. Gray suit, silver hair slicked back, eyes like chipped ice. Across from him sat three capos, all Sicilian, all silent. Vito tapped a gold lighter against the table. Once, twice. "Johnson's getting too comfortable," he said, voice low. "Numbers in Harlem are ours. Always were. He's pushing us out, taking spots, taking runners, taking money that belongs to this table." One capo Tommy, three fingers Russo, nodded slow. "We hit him quiet. One of his barbershops on 125th. Small place. He's there every Saturday morning. Get him while he's getting a haircut." Vito looked at the third man, Frankie, the blade Moretti. "You handle it. C4. Small charge. Make it look like a gas leak. No survivors. No witnesses." Frankie nodded once. "Consider it done." Vito leaned back. "No mistakes. Johnson dies. Harlem opens again. We take it back." The meeting ended. No handshakes. No smiles. Just orders. And a date. Saturday, November 10th. 9:15 a.m. The barbershop was called Sugar Hill Cuts. Small storefront. Red leather chairs. Mirrors all around. Bumpy Johnson sat in the center chair every Saturday at 9 sharp. Hot towel. Straight razor. No interruptions. He liked the routine. The quiet. The smell of bay rum and talc. He had no idea a timer was already ticking. Across the street, in a second-floor window above a deli, Frankie Moretti watched through binoculars. Two men in coveralls worked inside the shop overnight, planted the charge, wired it to the gas line behind the water heater. Set the timer. 9:15 a.m. Frankie checked his watch. 9 minutes. He lit a cigarette. Waited. Inside the shop, Bumpy closed his eyes, razor gliding smooth along his cheek. The barber old Mr. Clarence hummed low. "Looking sharp today, Mr. Johnson." Bumpy smiled faint. "Always do." Outside, a black Cadillac pulled up slow. Illinois Gordon stepped out first. Big man, eyes scanning. Victor Malone followed. They didn't go in, just waited. Bumpy opened his eyes, looked in the mirror, saw Illinois through the window, nodded once. Illinois nodded back, then looked at his watch. 9:14. 1 minute. Bumpy stood. Clarence frowned. "Almost done, Mr. Johnson." Bumpy touched the old man's shoulder. "Finish later." "Something's wrong." He walked to the door. Opened it. Illinois stepped forward. "Boss?" Bumpy looked across the street. Saw the cigarette glow in the window. Saw Frankie's silhouette. He smiled small, cold. "Get everyone out. Now." Illinois didn't ask why. He moved fast. "Everybody out. Now." Customers scrambled. Barbers dropped razors. Clarence protested. Bumpy cut him off. "Move, Clarence. Take your boys." The shop emptied in seconds. Bumpy stood in the doorway last. Looked up at the window. Raised one finger. Frankie saw it. Froze. Then the timer hit 0. The explosion was sharp. Not massive. Just enough. The front of the barbershop blew outward. Glass. Shattered. Flames licked up. But no one was inside. The blast wave hit the deli across the street. Second-floor window blew in. Frankie's two men still watching were thrown back. Bricks collapsed. Rubble buried them. Screams. Sirens distant. Bumpy stood in the doorway, unmoved. Dust settled on his suit. He brushed it off, looked up at the ruined window. No cigarette glow anymore. Just smoke. Illinois stepped beside him. "They're gone, boss." Bumpy nodded once. "Good." He turned to Clarence, shaking, staring at the ruins. "Your shop's gone. I'll rebuild it." "Better. Bigger." Clarence whispered. "How'd you know?" Bumpy looked at the burning deli. "I always know." He walked away. The sirens grew louder. Harlem watched. And the message was sent. You don't bomb Bumpy Johnson, because when you try, you bury your own men. Asterisk, asterisk. Part 2. The Aftermath in Brooklyn. Asterisk, asterisk. November 10th. 1962. Brooklyn, New York. 10:32 a.m. The social club on Carroll Street was quiet that morning. Curtains drawn, coffee cold. Vito Genovese sat at the head of the oak table. Same gray suit, same silver hair. Eyes colder now. Frankie. The blade Moretti stood in front of him, face pale, hands bandaged, left arm in a sling, dust still in his hair. Vito didn't look up at first, just tapped the gold lighter. Talk. Frankie swallowed. The bomb went off, 9:15 sharp. But Johnson wasn't inside. Shop was empty. No bodies. No blood. Vito's finger stopped tapping. Frankie continued. The blast hit our side. The deli window. The second floor. My 2 men. They were watching. The wall came down. They're buried. Fire department pulled them out. Both dead. Vito finally looked up. Dead. Frankie nodded. Crushed. Rubble. Vito leaned back. You planted the charge. You set the timer. You watched. Frankie's voice cracked. I did. But he knew. Somehow. He knew. Cleared the shop. Left it empty. Then the blast. It came back on us. Vito stared. Johnson's men were outside. 2 of them. Big one. Quiet one. They waited. Then walked away. After. Vito's eyes narrowed. He knew the plan. Frankie nodded slow. He knew. Silence filled the room. Vito stood. Walked to the window. Looked out at Carroll Street. Quiet. Then, 3 men. Our men. Buried under rubble. Because Johnson knew. Frankie swallowed. What do we do? Vito turned. We do nothing. Not yet. Frankie blinked. Nothing? Vito walked back to the table. He knew. He cleared the shop. He let the bomb go off. And he let our men die. He sent a message. Frankie's voice low. What message? Vito sat. Don't touch what's his. Because when you do, you bury your own. Frankie looked down. Vito continued. We lost 3 good men. We lost the barbershop. We lost the chance at Johnson. But he didn't kill us. He didn't escalate. He just reminded us. Frankie nodded slow. Vito leaned forward. Tell the family. Quiet. No retaliation. Not now. Not yet. Frankie hesitated. And Johnson? Vito smiled thin. Cold. He'll wait. He always waits. But when he moves final. Frankie left. Vito sat alone. Tapped the lighter. Once. Twice. Then stopped. Harlem had spoken. And Brooklyn had listened. The barbershop would be rebuilt. Bumpy would sit in the new chair. Same time. Same routine. And the message would stay. You don't bomb Bumpy Johnson. Because when you try, you bury your own men. Under your own rubble. And the king of Harlem? He just brushes off the dust. And keeps cutting hair. November 11th. 1962. Harlem, New York. 8 a.m. The barbershop on 125th was a skeleton by morning. Front wall blown out. Glass everywhere. Charred chairs. Mirrors cracked like spiderwebs. The gas line still hissed faint. Fire department had come and gone. Accident, they called it. Faulty heater. No investigation. No follow-up. Bumpy Johnson stood in the doorway. Fedora low. Coat open. Dust on his shoes. Mamie beside him, arms crossed. Eyes hard. Clarence, the old barber, stood shaking. Look at it, Mr. Johnson. My life's work. Gone. Bumpy stepped inside. Glass crunched underfoot. Not gone. Just delayed. Clarence looked up. Bumpy continued. I'll rebuild it. Bigger. Better chairs. New mirrors. New sign. Same spot. Same name. Sugar Hill Cuts. Clarence's eyes welled. You don't have to. Bumpy cut him off gentle. I do. This is Harlem. We don't let bombs win. He turned to Illinois Gordon, standing outside like a statue. Get the crew. Clear the rubble. Start today. Contractors tomorrow. Illinois nodded. Bumpy looked at Mamie. You okay? She nodded once. Better now. Bumpy touched her arm. Good. Across the street, a black sedan idled. Frankie Moretti sat in the back. Bandages on his arm. Face bruised. He watched the rebuild begin. Saw Bumpy standing calm. Saw the old barber nodding. Saw the crew moving in with wheelbarrows. Frankie's driver spoke low. He's not even mad. He's rebuilding. Frankie stared. He knew. He cleared the shop. Let our men die. And now he's fixing it like nothing happened. The driver swallowed. What do we do? Frankie exhaled hard. Nothing. Not yet. Vito said, "Wait." We wait. But inside, Frankie felt it. The message. You bomb Bumpy Johnson. He doesn't hit back right away. He rebuilds. Stronger. And he lets you watch. He lets you know. You failed. And your men paid. Frankie looked at the ruins. Then at Bumpy. Bumpy looked back. Across the street. No words. Just eyes. Frankie looked away first. The sedan pulled off slow. Bumpy turned to Clarence. New barbers. New tools. New everything. Open in 2 weeks. You'll be back cutting hair. Same chair. Same customers. Clarence wiped his eyes. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Bumpy smiled small. Don't thank me. Thank Harlem. We take care of our own. He stepped outside. Illinois approached. Words spreading. The Italians lost 3 men. Their own bomb. Their own rubble. Bumpy nodded. Good. Illinois paused. You think they'll try again? Bumpy looked at the street. They might. But next time, they'll think twice. He lit a cigarette. Because now they know. Know what? That Bumpy Johnson doesn't just survive. He rebuilds. And he makes sure you feel every brick that falls on your side. The rebuild began. Harlem watched. And Brooklyn? Brooklyn listened. The warning was clear. No more bombs. No more hits. Because when you try to bury Bumpy, you bury your own. And he just brushes off the dust. And keeps cutting hair. November 12th, 1962. Harlem, New York. 9 a.m. The rebuild began at dawn. Dump trucks rolled up. Wheelbarrows filled. Men in coveralls swept glass and ash. New lumber stacked on the sidewalk. Contractors measured frames. Electricians checked wires. Plumbers capped the gas line. Bumpy Johnson stood across the street. Fedora low. Coat open. Cigarette burning slow. Clarence watched beside him. Still shaken. Still grateful. They're moving fast, Clarence said. Bumpy nodded. They know better than to drag their feet. Illinois Gordon walked up. Big hands dusted with ash. Words out, boss. Brooklyn knows their men are dead. Buried under their own bomb. They're quiet. No retaliation talk. Not yet. Bumpy exhaled smoke. They won't. Not now. They lost 3. We lost nothing. That's the message. Illinois looked at the shop. Rebuild in 2 weeks? Bumpy smiled small. 1 week. Overtime. Double pay. New sign by Friday. Clarence blinked. A week? That's impossible. Bumpy turned to him. Nothing's impossible in Harlem. Not when we want it done. He looked back at the ruins. New mirrors. New chairs. Red leather. Same as before. But stronger. Bulletproof glass in the windows. Steel door in back. Cameras. The works. Clarence nodded slow. You think they'll try again? Bumpy crushed the cigarette. They might. But next time, they'll think about their own men. Buried in rubble. Because of their own bomb. Illinois grinned dark. They'll remember. Bumpy looked at the street. Everyone will. Across town in Brooklyn, the social club on Carroll Street was locked tight. Curtains drawn. No cars outside. Inside, Vito Genovese sat alone. No capos. No coffee. Just a newspaper open to the metro section. Small article. Explosion on 125th Street. Gas leak suspected. No injuries. Barbershop damaged. Investigation ongoing. Vito stared at the words. No mention of dead men. No mention of Gambino names. No mention of Bumpy. Clean. Quiet. Final. He closed the paper. Lit a cigar. Exhaled slow. The message had landed. Harlem wasn't open. Not anymore. And the cost of trying was 3 of his own. Buried. Silent. Vito leaned back. No retaliation. Not yet. But the echo stayed. Loud in the quiet. Bumpy Johnson didn't just survive the bomb. He turned it into a lesson. And Brooklyn heard it. Clear. The rebuild continued. Harlem watched. And the message echoed. Don't bomb Bumpy Johnson. Because when you do, you bury your own. And he just rebuilds. Stronger. Calmer. Untouchable. The king of Harlem didn't need to hit back. He just needed to stand. And let the rubble speak for him. November 12th, 1962. And the months that followed. Harlem, New York. The rebuild moved fast. Too fast for coincidence. By the end of the week, the front wall was framed. New glass ordered bulletproof. Red leather chairs delivered. Mirrors installed wide, clear, unbreakable. Sign repainted. Sugar Hill Cuts. Same gold letters. Bigger font. Clarence stood inside the new space on opening day. November 17th. 1 week after the blast. He ran his hand over the counter. Still smelled of fresh paint and sawdust. Bumpy walked in at 9 sharp. Fedora low. Suit crisp. Took his usual chair. Clarence draped the cape over him. Back where you belong, Mr. Johnson. Bumpy smiled faint. Where I always belonged. The razor glided. Hot towel. Bay rum. Same routine. Outside. Harlem watched. Word had spread quiet. Unstoppable. The Italians bombed Sugar Hill Cuts. Bumpy cleared the shop. Let the bomb go off. Their own men got buried. 3 dead. Their own rubble. No one cheered. No one protested. They just nodded. And remembered. The precinct captain who patrolled 125th slowed his cruiser that morning. Saw the new sign. Saw Bumpy inside getting shaved. Saw the bulletproof glass. He kept driving. Didn't stop. Didn't look twice. The 32nd precinct stayed quiet. No raids. No stops. No questions about the numbers game. The envelopes kept coming smaller, steady. $1,000 a month. No gold anymore. Just cash. Just reminder. No one talked about the bomb. No one asked why the Italians lost 3 men. No one looked too hard at Bumpy's trucks. The silence held. Months passed. Bumpy kept the throne. Harlem kept breathing. And every time a new runner thought about skimming, every time a new captain thought about shaking down a spot, the story whispered itself. Quiet. Clean. Final. The barbershop thrived. Clarence hired 2 more barbers. Lines out the door. Kids got free cuts on Saturdays. Mamie stopped by sometimes. Sat in the waiting chair. Watched Bumpy get shaved. Never spoke of the bomb. Never needed to. The Italians in Brooklyn stayed quiet. No retaliation. No second attempt. Vito Genovese never mentioned Harlem again. The message had landed. You don't bomb Bumpy Johnson. Because when you do, you bury your own men. Under your own rubble. And he just rebuilds. Stronger. Calmer. Untouchable. The king of Harlem didn't need to hit back. He just needed to stand. And let the echoes do the talking. And those echoes, they lasted. Longer than any explosion. Longer than any grudge. Longer than Harlem itself. Because some lessons don't fade with smoke. They fade with time. And time, Bumpy had plenty. November 1962, and the decades that followed. Harlem, New York. The rebuilt Sugar Hill Cuts opened on time. 1 week after the blast. New red leather chairs. Bulletproof glass windows. Steel reinforced door. Cameras at every angle. Same gold sign. Bigger letters. Clarence cut hair in the center chair again. Bumpy sat there every Saturday at 9 sharp. Hot towel. Straight razor. No interruptions. The shop thrived. Lines out the door. Kids got free cuts. Old men told stories. No one mentioned the bomb. No one needed to. The message lived in the walls. In the glass. In the silence. Brooklyn never tried again. Vito Genovese never spoke Harlem's name in meetings. The Gambino family shifted focus. Jersey, Queens, Long Island. Harlem stayed untouchable. The 32nd precinct stayed quiet. No raids. No stops. No questions. The envelopes continued smaller, steady. $1,000 a month. No gold coins. Just cash. Just reminder. No one talked about the 3 dead men. No one asked why the Italians buried their own. No one looked too hard at Bumpy's trucks. The silence held. Years passed. Bumpy kept the throne until 1968 heart attack at the Wells Supper Club. Same booth. Cigarette still burning. Harlem mourned. Thousands lined the streets. No one mentioned the bomb in the eulogies. No need. The shop stayed open. Clarence retired in 75. Passed the razor to his son. The sign never changed. The story faded into legend. Whispered on corners. Told to new runners. Passed like gospel. They bombed Sugar Hill Cuts. Bumpy cleared the shop. Let the bomb go off. Their own men got buried. 3 dead. Their own rubble. No one cheered. No one protested. They just nodded. And remembered. The rebuild wasn't just bricks and glass. It was a statement. You don't touch Harlem. You don't touch Bumpy. Because when you try, you bury your own. And he just rebuilds. Stronger. Calmer. Untouchable, the king of Harlem didn't need to hit back. He just needed to stand. And let the rubble speak for him. Those echoes lasted. Longer than any explosion. Longer than any grudge. Longer than Harlem itself. Because some lessons don't fade with smoke. They fade with time. And time. Bumpy had plenty, while those who crossed him had only memories and silence.